Initial impressions are important. It's Rell, and let's dive into Adventure Quest 3D, Artix Entertainment's long-standing hack-and-slash MMO. The game has a cartoon aesthetic. The HUD is simple and looks like a mobile game. But, happily, the game controls really well on the PC, and the keybinds are really easy to rebind. The game lets you equip items as stats or cosmetic. This can be a double-edged sword for games. It gives up game-wide visual style and information transfer to allow players a lot more freedom with their personal style. In this case, it fits right in with the silliness of the game. I'm immediately greeted by Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, who is apparently hosting an event. It's a collab with Cassandra Peterson's character on KCAL TV's Elvira's Movie Macabre. Interesting choice for greeting new players, but okay. Then we go right back to the actual tutorial. The combat is simple, but functional. The abilities are unlocked at a manageable pace, giving me plenty of time to get used to each one. While trying to get rid of a red exclamation mark, I misclick, and I'm thrown into a shop that tries to get me to buy a starter pack that utilizes both limited time offer and 5 times value to bait me into purchasing a pack. I accidentally open this menu quite a few times while playing. The game functions on a subscription system, which I honestly don't mind for constantly updating games. The servers and developers need to have a constant flow of revenue. We find Death. Literally, the Grim Reaper is giving us a quest. He tells us to take down Vane, so we go after him. And get wrecked. And then thrown across the sky. I love this opening, because it sets up an incredibly powerful enemy as a final goal, while sticking with the goofy animations of the game. And, comically, we land next to some cultists, in a summoning circle, meant to summon Vane himself. One quest has me rescuing villagers, and later in the town, those same villagers show up. I love the effort to make my actions feel like they actually did something. I enjoyed the first story boss, so I'm really excited for the one at the end of the tutorial area. Unfortunately, I don't get to experience it, because a high-level player just keeps killing it whenever someone else tries to attack it. The game's main selling point is its dialogue. It uses a combination of self-awareness, randomness, and puns to provide a goofy experience for the player. The game has plenty of side bosses to fight. And this is where I encounter an issue with the game's way of dealing with safe spotting. Enemies rapidly regenerate if you get too far away. Since there's no range indicator, it's really easy to accidentally reset enemies while trying to kite them. The side bosses are really well balanced. I literally beat some of them on single-digit health. The game also has overworld bosses that provide a nice reason to have impromptu team-ups. I go into town and find Elvira again, and go to the event. It starts out really sweet. It has a bunch of characters with messages from staff and long-term players expressing gratitude for the game. The first event quest is wacky. You help a necromancer romance a bunch of zombies. There is an active player race, and I work with a bunch of the players to take down a bunch of enemies, including the boss. The combat remains simple, but I enjoy working with a group to take out very powerful enemies. I didn't have time to finish the entire quest on that day, so I came back the next day. And unfortunately, I ended up not being able to finish it, because there was no one there to take on the boss with. And since I wasn't at the correct point in the quest before, I didn't get credit for it. I went back while writing this and found another player killing him, and was able to finish the quest. It literally ends with a musical number, with all the characters dancing, encapsulating the random humor the game is going for. While running around for one of the quests, I find a sword and a stone, and promptly try to pull it out. And then an earth elemental attacks me. And that makes me smile. It had a nice deviation from the expected without being too obnoxious. Later, there's a floating book on one of the bridges, so I click it, expecting some lore or cinematic cutscenes. Nope, it's an impromptu battle against Brutalcorn, a fighting Jimbro bipedal unicorn. The game does a great job of adding in silly little distractions for the players. One of the main quests has us traveling to the dark side of the world. This new area has a great aesthetic, though the mechanics are lacking. In town, I find an activities board. I do a few random adventure quests. They're mostly just combat, and without the fun dialogue, they leave me feeling pretty bored. So I moved on. Next, I tried the daily boss battles, and these ended up being my favorite part of the game. Every one of the ones I went to had a ton of players just chilling out and fighting the bosses. This gave me an opportunity to play as a healer and work in a large team. Simple combat. But working with other players, avoiding mechanics, was an enjoyable system. On the dailies list, I saw PvP as an option. Not really my thing, but I'll give it a shot. So I went and joined the battle queue. It didn't take long before I had a match, and I happily accepted. but the other player didn't. And it happened again. And again. I'm not sure if it's just that I'm low level, or if the queue system is messed up, but I'm moving on. I went to the moon. No, really. I went and explored the moon. So how did I breathe up there, you ask? My character would like to know that too. I spent a while working through a bunch of fetch quests and kill quests until I needed to take out a boss. Unfortunately, the boss's de-aggro range is larger than his AoE attack range, which made it impossible for me to take him out at my current level. I went back at a higher level, and the boss was still unbeatable. Even drinking health potions on cooldown was not enough. It felt bad because it was near the end of a decently long questline, and dodging the boss's primary mechanic leads to it fully resetting its health. This would have been a reasonable point to stop, but I didn't. Partially because I was sick and couldn't do the voice recording for this video, and partially because I was actually interested in playing more. Over the next few days, I was excited to see the new daily boss encounter each day. I also started doing the Ranger daily quests to unlock a class. This led me to one of the early dungeons, where I found a group to run it with. It was a bit easy, but I had a blast blitzing it anyway. The game makes it really easy to switch between classes. You need to rank each of them up, but your level, which dictates your base stats, remains. It's really nice to be able to try out a bunch of different classes. While they were all simple, auto attack, 3 actives, ultimate, and some passives, it left me more time to chill out with the other players. So, how much did I enjoy Adventure Quest 3D? Fair bit. The combat and quest mechanics were simple, but the dialogue and art were great. The story had an interesting hook, but lost focus to all the side activities. Having an active community was great, but a lack of players made some parts of the game incompletable for me. Would I recommend it? Maybe, depending on what you're looking for in a game. If you like simple, chill, and silly grind fests, it's perfect for you. If you're looking for a complex and dark story with intense mechanics, not so much. Either way, I'm happy that plenty of people are able to get an enjoyable adventure doing quests in a 3-dimensional world.